Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to everyone who is tuning in to watch this second round from Trial Mountain for Tier 6 of Season 16 of the Monday League. I'm just going to wait a few moments so that a few others can join in. And yeah, let's get underway. I am told that this is going to be quite a fun race. So let's see how that pans out. Yeah. So, okay. So this is supposed to be really wild sprint and feature race. So, yeah, I must admit, I've been looking forward to it ever since Monday had arrived. Uh, Seeing all the discussions in the chat, but yeah, can't wait for the chaos, says Tap. Yeah, neither can I. Everything's been quite active. So, anyways, let's go over the qualifying order then. So Reuse qualifies in P16, not the best outing for them in the Subaru BRZ. Inorganic in P15, not the best qualification. Again, yeah, I mean this far back, not so great, but maybe just maybe I messed up in qualifying. Then we have Gaz in 14th place. Gaz, who missed the opening race of the season. In P14, in the sort of the second Audi team, in the R8 from Evo from 2019. Airtown Jenna in P13 with still, I believe, the most creative nickname, most creative sort of name tag thing. I'm not sure what it's called. Still the most creative one I've come across in all my time in racing. Qualifying P13, P12 is Gaz's teammate who is Apocalypos. Apocalypos, I think. Okay, I think that's right. Who also missed the opening race in the Evo. P12, P11 is Sleepy. Lowly 11th for Sleepy. Then in the 5th row of the grid is locked out by the two Huracans, Denos and IJF. IJF out qualifying Denos, but they were quite close in qualifying, only about a tenth of a second separating the two of them. 8th place is the other Aston Martin, Nico, having performed decently well, it must be said, to get the Aston up to P8. Boyan doing well in the Merc to grab P7. Then we have Gabo in P6 in the Renault. Then Gum in qualifying 5th. Gum had a pretty good feature race at Barcelona. I think it was a P3 in the end there, if my memory serves me correctly. Then Michel, who did quite well last weekend. P4, only 3.5 tenths off pole in the lead Subaru. That car has quite a lot of potential, I think. Yeah, on this kind of a track. Maybe the straight lines not so much, but through the corners, that thing is as fun as a Group 3 car can be, really. Like, anyway. Then we have the first of the two Ferraris in P3. Simba qualifying third after winning, I believe, the feature race at Barcelona. Abhi out qualifying his teammate only by a tenth of a second. In P2, Abhi had won the sprint race, and had it not been for a complete hash of the tire strategy, it would have been a very successful weekend for Abhi as well. And Blade Runner, who snatched pole by two tenths of a second, 52.4 in the lead Renault. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Let's start. Let's see what chaos we have. As we have 2 red lights, 3, 4, 5 lights, and that's quite a long hold, and we are off. Blade Runner and Abhi look like they got away pretty decently. Simba has managed to cut off Michel for third. It looks like Abhi's managed to keep on the inside. Blade Runner going slightly wide. Simba in third. And Michel looks like they're lining up a pass for third, side by side. And Simba losing out. Airtown Jenna was the big gainer of that start. From what I remember, oh, Michel and Simba, oh boy, that did not look good. Okay, I'm gonna go quickly back because I want to see how that start went from the man who started P13, Airtown Jenna. Let's have a look. Airtown Jenna, I think, will find himself in P3 or P4? Wow, that launch. That's two of the Audis dealt with, and side by side with Danos going into the opening turn lift. Wow, just a gap opened up between the two Lamborghinis almost. As, whoa, Gumb and Nico not having a good incident, and Boya not really defending. Oh, not sure of that one. Gabo might not be too happy, but yeah, and Michel might not be too happy about that with Simba. Wow, that was chaos. Airtown Jenna 9 places off the start. What an insane start that was. I think Michel would be the biggest loss because of that spin. Definitely a report-worthy incident. As Gumb looks for a pass on Airtown Jenna. So far so good, but it's quite a long straight, and wonder if Airtown Jenna can make dive down the inside. Gabo also looking for the inside line, but Gumb making it. Gumb slowed down quite a bit on the inside. Airtown Jenna made complete. Took quite a lot of advantage of Gumb's inside line. Oh, okay. Let's have a quick look. So Gumb slid here. I'll take a look from Gabo's POV. Gabo's on the outside. So Gabo sort of already passed, but I think that the Porsche took too much speed going through there. And finds now having lost quite a bit of time facing the wrong way. Boyan with a decently quiet start, it must be said, P6. Well, demoted to P7 almost immediately they say that. Whoa. Airtown Jenna, after all the heroics on that opening lap, just outbrakes the car and straight into the wall. Oh no. Well, Boyan gains back P6 in the span of about 20-25 meters. And yeah, that's some lap, I should say. Apocalypse. Apocalypse in 8th. Yeah, that's Nico is. I'm surprised that there's not been more penalties perhaps coming the way of Nico, as IJF in 9th, Danos in 7th, surrounding the Audi, as Boyan finds himself in trouble, going wide again. Yeah, Tap says, what a time got by Nico, not the way to take the corner. I agree. I don't think it's a good idea to use the car in front as your braking board, essentially. As Boyan finds a way back in front of Apocalypse. Oh no, rather, I apologize. I think Boyan was defending there. As whoa, okay, hold on a moment, just a moment. What was that? Who was that? Okay, so Fudo senses an opportunity, goes on IJF. Oh, that was a dive and a half. So Fudo slips. Now they're 4 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. Ryu, who started last, now getting in on the action, as sort of 5 cars are fighting for the same bit of track. Apocalypse is slightly pulling away. This is allowing IJF to really escape from this pack. Boyan is P9. Ryu's 10th. Inorganic has gained 4 places of the start as well. Sleepy, after that audacious move, finds himself quite a long way back. And the man with probably the best start, I must admit, that was one of the best starts I've seen, unfortunately, winning it into the wall on the opening lap. Gaz, I think, must have had an incident as well somewhere, and Gum we saw spinning out on the opening lap. Let's take a look at the front. I see that Simba has made a pass on Blade Runner for 2nd place. That looks quite recent. Let's see. We'll quickly rewind here. So Blade Runner, I think, must have had a pretty poor exit out of the final corner. So yeah, giving Simba the P2 and another sprint race battle for the 2 Ferraris, it seems. I think it was a 1-2 for Ferrari at Barcelona as well. These two really running away with the race. Blade Runner will do well at to keep up and maybe even take advantage if the 2 teammates start fighting too much. So yeah, and Gabo also, the other Renault has been sort of catching up a little bit, must be said. Nico also sort of a decent 5th. Then we have the 2 Huracans in 6th and 7th. Ryu's in 8th, and let's just take a look at the chaos that is happening here. Boyan in 9th. I'm just gonna okay, Apocalypse in 10th, Inorganic and Sleepy behind there. Let's see, Inorganic might be looking to line up a pass here down the inside at the end of the straight. It's a really interesting place because you can hold it around the outside and also go down the inside. So just pulling up alongside and going down the inside isn't enough, as Apocalypse manages to defend that position for the moment. But it's looking as if Inorganic does have a decent amount of pace. Sort of see that Apocalypse is struggling a little bit almost, as the gaps are slightly opening up towards the top of the field. I think top 7 from the quick glance of the mini-map, it seems like there's a couple of battles for the top 3, but yeah, this is sort of a close bunch. In fact, that exit from Apocalypse was so good that they've gone straight from defending. Now they're attacking Boyan into turn 1. Sort of the first sector, in fact, not turn 1 really. But that Audi and Apocalypse was really having a very good opening sector. Michel all the way at the back with the fastest lap. It's a race of what could have been for the Frenchman, it must be said. Not great racecraft from Simba, so if not sure if Abhias would be aware of that at the moment, but yeah. So if the Abhi is under pressure, I would imagine they could even let Simba past and just keep behind in the tow, knowing that penalty would almost be certain. This is the point I was making. It's not the easiest thing to pass into that corner. The sort of in third gear, going around the outside, you might get cut off, but going on the inside, there's a chance that you might slow down a little bit too much. Let's see a little bit further up. It seems that we have a battle brewing slightly between Denos and Nico. Denos is caught up quite a bit. Or maybe Nico's fallen back a little bit in this lap. Let's have a look at their lap times. 53.3 for Denos, 54.5 for Nico. So yeah, it's Lamborghini's been catching slightly, and Nico's made a small mistake somewhere, perhaps, which has helped the Dutchman out as well. Let's take a quick glance at the top 3 here. Simba with the fastest lap, still with the flashing headlights. That I see hasn't been rectified, I think. Or maybe it has been. Sure. Maybe it has, actually. Simba at the toe of the Ferrari in front, his teammate is back, and Blade Runner keeping up with the two of them. The difference really is that Abhi's tires are decently better. I mean, it's not going to matter now, but it'll be interesting to see if this pattern is visible in the feature race as well. If Abhi is able to manage his tires better than Simba and Blade Runner in front. Maybe it's the dirty air, but that is making that extra difference to the guys behind. In any case, at the moment it seems fairly stable. Gabo in P4 is there or thereabouts as well. I don't know if Gabo is catching necessarily, maybe a little bit. Nico in 5th, Dana 6th, IJF 7th. Hughes in 8th, defending from Apocalypse, who finds himself in 9th place. Oh, there's a yellow flag somewhere. Someone spun in front, and that would be Denos. So Denos spins from what would have been 6th. And I can see that spin is still going on. It's only stopped now. Let's see where Denos rejoined. Denos rejoined in 12th place, slightly behind Ayrton Senna, who has clawed his way back up to 11th place, which is quite impressive. It's been quite a roller coaster of a race for Ayrton Senna. Started 13th, found that the start was unbelievable, all the way up in 4th place, then had a disagreement with the wall, dropped them almost all the way to the back, now in 11th place and climbing again. Meanwhile, Apocalypse has a 1 second penalty, so that might be a temporary bit of breathing space for Rius, who started at the back of the field. Ah. Boyan says that spin might have been him. Okay. That might explain it. Actually, perhaps it would. Let's have a look at our top 3 in the meantime, very quickly. It seems Simba has narrowed that gap down a little bit more. Now, very, very close to Abhi. Let's stick with this battle for a moment. It'll be interesting to see how Simba will try and pass his teammate, because in equal cars, and especially with the dirty air, I don't know if it will be easy to do in any of the corners. Perhaps slipstream down the straight, but you can already see sort of the mistakes starting to creep in, and Simba's now will have to defend against Blade Runner, I think. That Ferrari straight line speed, coupled with the fact that both of them are getting slipstream, I think saved Simba on that occasion. But possibly, I think, whoa, I don't know if that was a drift or maybe I'm seeing it happening. Maybe not. Well, anyway, Simba manages to keep it in P2 in the end. No attack, no defense. But this deadlock looks quite difficult to crack, I think. It's going to have to be a mistake from one of them if things are to change. I'm not really seeing a potential opportunity, because unless Simba really gets it right on the sort of the entry to the long straight, perhaps that would be the opportunity they require. As we move into the final lap of the sprint, Blade Runner in third, Gabo fourth, Nico in fifth, IJF in sixth, Ryu's with, must be said, quite a fantastic drive from what was stone dead last on in qualifying. In fact, some of these laps that Ryu's is doing is almost 2.5 seconds faster than their qualifying time. So perhaps it just was a matter of not being able to put a good lap together in whatever circumstances. Oh, I think someone disconnected, because Ryu's was not sixth. Gabo, IJF disconnected probably. Oh, it's not disconnected. IJF spun, going through turn one, and that's the other Lamborghini that's had a moment and really finding it tough to get going. So Ryu's gains yet another place. Wow, 10 places in a 8-lap sprint. That's quite amazing. It must be said. Of course, helped out a lot by the mistakes from the fellow racers, but yeah, being clean and consistent is one way to get good points. As Furo tries to line up a pass on the newer R8. Inorganic in ninth. Let's see if that can be possible. We've seen Furo go for slightly optimistic dive earlier, but this one looks far more controlled. Oh, or not. There was definitely some sort of a collision. Furo letting Apocalypse get past again. Let's go back to the front, because I think the race is about to finish. Abhi is going to cross the line for their second sprint race win in a row. Simba makes it a second Ferrari 1-2. Blade Runner rounds out the top three. They were really, the three of them, and must be said, Gabo as well, keeping up with the pair of them, really in a sort of almost a league of their own. The two Renaults and the two Ferraris. Nico, without that, perhaps one incident on the opening lap, which would be quite troubling, but a decent drive apart from that. Ryu's with a fantastic recovery from 16th on the grid. Apocalypse 7 defending from Fudo, who ended up finishing 8th. Inorganic started 15th, ended up 9th. Great drive from them as well. The two Lamborghinis, both of them, started I think 9th and 10th, finished 10th and 11th. Airtown Jenna, roller coaster of a race, unfortunately finishing at a point where they were probably further back than they were light. Gumb after that opening lap recovers to 13th, Boyan in 14th, and Gaz in 15th. Somebody seems to have disconnected mid-race because we did start with 16. That would be Michelle, I think. Michelle disconnected, or maybe rage quit. In either case, that's the end of the race. 1-2 for the two Ferraris, the two Indians, with their second 1-2 in 2 weeks. The Ferrari team already had a lead coming into this race of 10 points against two Renaults, and that lead is expanded already by the end of the sprint. So reverse grid pole, I think that would put one of the Lamborghinis should be on pole if I think that is correct. But it should be interesting to see how the Renaults and the Ferraris, we've seen how well they did when they had clear track in front of them. They were sort of able to pull away, but now it should be interesting to see how they work in the in the traffic, whether they can make clean passes and find the sort of the right gap. So let me quickly start the replay before the results are spoiled. Thankfully, no results were seen there. Yeah, so Danos it is on pole. Let's take a look. Danos on pole in the police livery. That's nice to see the liveries have loaded, I think, this time. On mediums, Inorganic on hards, Fudo on softs. That's okay. That's a nice decision. We have 3 different tires on the front 3. Apocalypse in the other team Audi, the other Audi, if you will, on mediums. Ryu's in 5th on mediums. Nico also on softs. Gabba on mediums. Blade Runner on mediums. And hards for Simba and mediums for Abhi. Okay. Mediums for IJF and Airtown Jenna. Hards for Gumb. Mediums for Boyan. Mediums for Gaz. And mediums for Michelle, who will start at the back. Unfortunately, this is going to be quite a lot of fun. So let me just quickly memorize that correctly. So it's Fudo and Nico who are on softs. Inorganic, Simba, and Gumb on hards. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this should be really fun to see who does what and how in this feature race. 22 laps we're looking at, and should start any moment. Yeah, there we go. Danos getting away well. The rolling start working well for the top 3. I think Ryu's might have already lost the position to Nico. Inorganic going wide on those hard tires. And losing a place to Fudo, who is on soft, so that 2 compound gap is quite visible. Apocalypse also, I think, goes to battling hard. Whoa! Apocalypse got pushed, I think, or maybe went wide on their own. Let's quickly take a look at what happened there. Trying to slow down for Inorganic, and Nico just goes clean on the outside. Oh! Slight push from Inorganic. Oh no, that was Ryu's. Somebody bumped into Ryu's as well. Let's take a look from slightly further back then. From Blade Runner's perspective. So it was Gabo. Maybe there was lag or something, but Yeah, it's definitely something happened there causing Nico to go back. Whoa, that might be damage for yeah, that's damage for Gabo. Nico squeezed Gabo into the wall there. Not the best bit of defending, I must say. But so the top 5 somewhat intact. Fudo is making good use of those softs, having already caught up to Danos. Probably will be looking to get a pass down soon. This is Fudo's lost quite a bit of time going through there. Let's quickly take a look at the back of the grid, see how... Wow, okay. So Blade Runner find themselves Apocalypus getting passed by the front runners. Simba is behind Gabo in P6. Wow, okay. Rios goes by, Gabo's half spun. Simba has a bit of a moment, but somehow still manages to get past. And now Simba's putting pressure on the hard-shod Aston Martin there in front. Let's have a look from this camera angle. Simba taking a much wider entry than Inorganic, who is really struggling at turn 1. And you can see now Simba might have got a bit of a helping hand as they go wide. Inorganic. Rios was sort of alongside, but Rios goes a little deep, allows Abhi to go through on the mediums. Simba doing well on the hards, it must be said. Having started, I think it was in P9. And Abhi, who had started P10, the two Ferraris really doing a good job. In one lap, they're now 5th and 6th, working together, sort of. I wonder what happened to Blade Runner and Gabo. Now both of them are at the back. I wonder what happened to them. Okay, so this chaos happened at the end of the last lap. End of lap 1, okay. So Blade Runner sort of there. Ayrton Senna behind them, almost cuts the corner. Oh, so that's how Apocalypse got the air damage. Blade Runner spins on their own volition. And what happened to Gabo then? So the two Renaults almost at the same time managed to make a meal of... whoa, Gabo bumps into Simba and has a spin. Okay, so that's the medium not treating the two Renaults very well, it must be said. Ayrton Senna find themselves at 8th, again gained a few places. Michel, who's had good pace all sort of weekend, or not the weekend, all Monday rather. Finally looking like they might get some good returns on that pace, having not scored any in the sprint. That's sort of the weakness of the BRZ. You can see almost the Merc is almost pulling away. Even though the BRZ has a slipstream. That's the thing with the BRZ. If you can limit the damage down the straight, it'll be much more fun to drive through the corners. Anyhow, Boyan in P10. Whoa, Boyan sliding quite a bit there. Gum in P11, also on the hard tires. Apocalypus, who had damage early on. Gabo and in 13th. Gaz in 13th. Layton in 15th, and IJF. These guys really not having a good race, unfortunately. Let's go back up towards the front. Okay. So Abhi's made a pass on Simba, or maybe perhaps Simba's made a mistake somewhere. So Nico with a 53.6 out in front. Nico's on soft, if I remember correctly, but Denos is still holding on to the lead on medium tires, and those guys have pulled quite a bit of time to the front. Oh, okay. Well, perhaps I'm sorry about the commentators, guys. The moment I switch to Denos, I see that Denos has a 1 second penalty. Anyhow, it should still be decent enough to keep the lead. I think the gap is quite far. I think all the guys behind were so caught up in battling that they forgot to. They sort of let these guys get away. But you can see already for Nico, the softs are really in a terrible place. Almost 50% degradation on the front right of that car. Furo's doing slightly better, but for Furo it's probably the rear right which is more concerning. Not sure how many more laps of this the softs can take. So quite an interesting strategy to go for the softs early on. They seem to have achieved their goal of creating a gap to the guys behind, but you can see already that the two Ferraris are catching up, working together. As Denos slows down to serve the penalty, the two soft runners go by, but P3 still for Denos, and by my reckoning, Denos is in one of the better positions to make it work, and unless the soft guys strategy goes through, the two-stop, I want to say. So I don't think the hards can do 17, 18 laps, whatever. The difference is that the softs will die after. So unless that two-stop works out, and I'm not sure. As we see somebody in the pits, let's quickly take a look who it is. Gaz pits from what I think was essentially P13 or P14 perhaps, hitting onto softs, getting the pit lane cut penalty, I think 3 seconds. As Nico's in the lead, but by the looks of it, I don't think Nico's tires will do another lap. Nico might just have to pit at the end of this one. After just 4 laps, Sleepy might just be able to extract a couple, 3 more laps out of the softs. Denos' tires are looking quite good actually. Similar to Abhi's, and in fact Abhi and Simba's tires are surprisingly similar in terms of wear, even though the two of them are on different compounds. Ryu is also tagging along with them, so these three are sort of forming one group who are chasing down Denos. Then we have Michelle in the other Subaru, who is in 7th and trying to chase down these guys. Ayrton Senna in 8th and Boyan in 9th. So Michelle at some point got past Ayrton Senna. At some point around the lap. Apocalypse in 10th, doing well to recover from the damage early on from that incident. Gabo with that Coca-Cola livery, I must admit that's a really pretty livery on the Renault. Recovered to P11 after the spin early on. Inorganic on the hards, yeah, that just didn't work out for Inorganic, I fear. Started in 2nd, but unfortunately not. Well, there's a yellow flag, somebody's facing the wrong way, and that would be Denos. So Denos spins from what was essentially the best placed medium runner, and now find themselves pretty much at the back. Very unfortunately for them, their teammate is almost directly in front of them in 14th place. Quite unfortunate. Nico, wow, I almost can't believe my eyes. Nico managed to make one more lap on those. Well, I would have said already dead softs, so that's quite an achievement. I wonder if Nico's going on for another lap. They are. Nico's going on for another lap. No way. Surely not. Surely those tires have had it already. That might cost Nico quite a bit, I think. I think Nico's really going to struggle on this lap, as we see already Simba trying to get past Nico, not allowing it. Little bit concerning the defense there, as Simba. I think Simba had some sort of an incident. As Nico goes wide, that one's not surprising given the lack of softs. Oh, lack of tires on that car somehow. Whoa. Nico's driving is a little bit dangerous, it must be said here. That's like a moving chicane almost. That's not very pretty to see. Yeah, it's especially with those tires, it's almost you're almost better off trying to let the guys around you pass because you don't have grip at all. Simba, after about half a lap of trying, gets past, but that would have cost Simba quite a bit. Simba was sort of in the running with Abhi, and now Abhi sort of pulled a couple of 3 seconds even perhaps in front. So now Sleepy is the one in the lead, having done 6 laps on those softs. Simba is not able to defend against the Subaru on the which was on the inside, and Michelle, having started last, is now in P4. That's quite an impressive drive, and it's only been 6 laps. So much has happened. So much has happened in this race already. It doesn't seem like 6 laps, but in fact it is. Well, thankfully Nico does decide to stop. It would have been. I think that was already 1 lap too many for the Aston. Simba and Michelle are going at it. Simba will try to pass Michelle. I think Michelle on the medium, Simba will be on the hard compound tires. But I'm not sure it's wise to try and pass the Subaru through the corners. I think Simba might as well just hold the line, follow the racing line through, but and then try and pass Michelle down the straight. And I think Furo's softs are also beginning to give up. Let's quickly take a look on Furo. Yes, Furo's both of Furo's right-hand side tires are screaming for help, or rather screaming to be taken off that car. Abhi taking the lead off of Furo, who will almost certainly should pit at the end of this lap. Ryu's finds themselves in 2nd place. Furo now will probably start losing quite a lot of time against the medium and hard compound tire runners. Michelle goes past for 3rd, and Simba will probably also make the pass in a few moments' time for P4. Something interesting to compare is how Michelle's and Ryu's mediums have not worn as much as those on the Ferrari. Rather more specifically, those on Abhi's Ferrari. I think Simba, or rather Abhi takes care of his tires better than Simba, based on the tire wear that we've seen. I think even at Catalonia we saw this, and seeing this here as well. Well, Blade Runners made their way up to 7th after finding themselves in last let's take a quick look at the guys who are in the pit. Gabo in P11. That looks like a mistake somewhere as Furo emerges on a set of hards and a full tank of fuel. So 7 laps on softs, leaving 15 laps on hards, which I think might not be the end of the might not be that impossible actually. Nico also, I think, looking to do the same strategy, except Nico, I think, did 6 laps on the soft, so it's 16 laps on the hard compound tires for them. Apocalypus also using the mediums in the opening stint, so softs for them. Oh, as we see a yellow flag, somebody spun. That would be inorganic, yeah. Inorganic on the hard compound tire, yeah, that's just not worked for poor inorganic, who started in P2, but the damaged front bumper, rear bumper, and both front tires, it's not looking great. Danos, who had the spin in the opening 3 or 4 laps, half a second penalty, but gained a few places back from there to P11. Gabo in 10th, IJF in 9th, as we see Ayrton Jenna, who has stopped from, I think that would be 6th. Gum manages to find themselves in P7. Blade Runner in 6th. Blade Runner's used up quite a lot of fuel. Interestingly, after 8 laps, maybe 60% fuel. That's quite not very frugal from the Renault. I would say, and that's worse than Boyan in the Merc. Yeah. Also, Rios' Subaru. I think Rios made a mistake. Let's quickly jump back a few frames. So I think Rios was P2. Okay, let's jump back here. Oh, Rios made a mistake into that one. Yeah. Okay. There's just so much going on in this race. I am struggling to keep track almost. Yeah, it looks like Rios got the line all wrong, slowed down a bit too much, and Michel, taking full advantage of his teammate's mistake, makes the pass into 2nd place, and now Rios has the tough task of defending against the championship, the early championship leader in Simba, while Michel has the task of trying to break away from Rios and Simba. Actually, to be fair, Rios is the one putting pressure on Michel at the moment. Simba is about a few tenths back, but down the straight will really expose the Subarus. You see how much slipstream plus that Subaru loses a lot of time in a straight shootout, but with the slipstream behind, so the car behind is, yeah, not pretty. Michel is quietly pulled a little bit of a gap, and Abhi once again, it must be said, driving very consistently, keeping the nose clean. This is now what would be already they've won 2 out of the first 3 races. One mistake in the feature at Barcelona, and yeah. So let's go back here, and yeah, this is the straight line deficit of that Subaru, costing Rios 3rd place. On that instant, Simba goes past, but Rios' defense has allowed Michel a little bit of breathing room. Boyan and P5 on mediums, but now it's these are no longer sort of real positions, because some of the soft runners has bid already to go to the end. So I think we'll have a better view of the field once most of these guys, or if not all of these guys, make their pit stops. Blade Runner manages to find themselves has managed to find themselves a little bit of a clean air. Yeah, but as I was mentioning earlier, quite thirsty on the fuel is Blade Runner's Renault. Gumb in P7 at the moment on the hard compound guy. So the two hard compound runners, Simba and Gumb, I think on this somewhat on the alternate strategy, if you will. I think the rest of the guys in the top 7 or perhaps even the top 8 are all on the medium tires. Gabo in P9, a few, maybe a couple or 3 turns behind the other Renault of Blade Runner. Danos also has not stopped yet. Furo is the first of the 2 guys who stopped, and yeah, I think that extra lap on the softs really cost Nico quite dearly. So I'd say maybe a few seconds behind Furo there on that occasion, but perhaps that was the one lap of pain that they were expecting to have to take in order to make the strategy work. Perhaps that is the thinking here. As IJF comes into the pits, Inorganic has not stopped. Apocalypse has stopped, and quite likely going to the end on that set. Ayrton Senna also. I would have said Ayrton Senna would go to the end, but not with that fuel, certainly. I think that fuel amount is surely a little bit too short. IJF has a full refuel. Gaz trying something alternate. I think Gaz had stopped quite early to try and switch to softs from the mediums, but yeah, that's not worked out, I think, unfortunately for the Audi. Coming back to the lead of the race, Abhi, we are heading towards the end of lap 10. Yeah, that Ferrari, it's been super consistent so far, and Abhi heads into the pits. As I say that, Michelle carries on for another lap, so there will be an overcut there. So one Subaru and one Ferrari pit, one Subaru and one Ferrari stay out. So interesting that the two teams have split their strategies in this way. Boyan also pits from P5. Gumb will carry on. Blade Runner stops from 7th. So it will now be interesting to see how Nico and Fudo have done in comparison to these guys. Where do they come out? Because that'll really be the telltale sign. And Abhi refueling for 85%. Yeah, so I think these guys are now quite set to go to the end, which seems the sensible thing to do. So Boyan comes out just in front of Nico and Fudo. So Fudo must have made some bit of a mistake somewhere, because yeah, Nico's hard tires are warmed up, as are Fudo. So Boyan loses out on 7th, interestingly. So that soft strategy might not have worked as well as these two guys thought, but it's definitely worked well enough, or decently well enough, as we said. So they're not all that far behind Rius. I think maybe 5 or 6 seconds, but yeah, I mean, it's not worked out, I think, as they would have expected it to, but sure. It's not a completely lost cause at the moment. So now the question is, oh, someone spun. Who's that? I missed it. Was that Gum who spun? Let's just a moment. Who is that? Ah, okay. That's Gaz, I think. Yeah, that's Gaz in P16 who's struggling on those soft compound tires. Michel and Simba carrying on for a 12th lap. Meanwhile, Gump and Gabo are the two guys who are stopping on this lap. Gump surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, at half distance, deciding to call the stop there. Gabo 11 laps on the medium tires and now planning to do 11 on hards. So that promotes Nico into P5, Fudo P6, Boyan P7, Gump on the medium compound tire will be on P8, or rather emerges in P8, but that's quite a fair distance back, must be said. So Apocalypus and Gump, probably those two, and Ayrton Jen as well, in fact, would have to work together. Blade Runner finds themselves quite far distance further back. Perhaps they made a mistake somewhere because they were much further ahead of their teammate earlier on, before the stops. So mistake there somewhere. Let's go back towards Boyan, who lines up a pass on Nico and halfway down the straight, and that pass is already complete. The Mercedes showing quite decent straight line speed, but I fear that Boyan might have pulled the trigger too early. In fact, it's early enough that Nico could dive back into the slipstream, and yeah, that's an unconventional defense, letting your opponent pass at halfway down the straight and defending the corner, but hey, it worked. So I think Boyan might do well to push Nico, give a bump draft perhaps if they catch up that early next time, so that the opportunity falls their way. It seems Michel and Simba are going on for yet another lap. That's 13 laps. On hard tires, it's still understandable, but Michel doing quite a stellar job, it must be said, on the mediums. Perhaps Michel is looking to make it a medium soft. That would be quite amazing, I think, if it's possible. And yeah, if Michel's managed 13 laps, and I think there's definitely the possibility to do one more if the fuel allows it here for the Subaru. 9 laps on soft may be stretching, but 8 laps on softs might be possible. Let's see what Michel does here, and also what Simba does. Quite surprising that Simba is not coming to the pits earlier to. Michel pits and Simba pits as well. So now the question is whether Abhi and Rius I think has made a mistake somewhere. Let's take a quick glance. I think Rius must have made a mistake somewhere, because that gap was not that large last time when we had checked. So essentially the battle now lies between the top three, that is Michel, Simba and Abhi, as it was I think 1 week ago at Catalonia. On that occasion Simba's Ferrari came out in front with the controversial strategies, shall we say, but this time Michel leading the pair out of the pits. Simba, I think, having fueled a little bit more. Abhi manages to jump Simba out, or rather defend their position from Simba, but Michel proving a tough obstacle to pass on the harder compound tires. Oh, just as I say that. Oh, was there contact there? Let's take a quick look here on the hood cam of Abhi. If there was contact there or not. Or did Michel put the power down too early on their own? Yeah, that did not look like contact. Michel making a mistake on these cold hard tires. Unfortunately, perhaps I would assume a little bit of damage. No, thankfully not for Michel. So third place and still within sight of the two Ferraris in front. Simba on the softer compound tire. Yeah, Boyan says looks like dirty totes as well. Probably the dirty offline totes did not help Michel as they try to put the power down out of the tunnel. So the key battle here now between the two Ferraris, the two teammates. Simba on the softer rubber, having just made a stop. Abhi on the warmer, fired up, hard compound tires. Now the question is, how would Simba approach this? What should be the strategy with which Simba should approach this? Perhaps in a battle of equal cars, you should look to just wait until the straight arrives. Yeah, and that looks like what Simba is doing. Abhi doing a good job defending the inside line, but I wonder if that will be enough. As the two of them, yeah, Simba breaks early enough to allow Abhi pass the line through the opening corner. And these two slowly managed to make a gap ahead of Michel. Although if they fight too much, I'm not sure that gap will remain. In fact, I think it would diminish if these two don't work together. Let's see how they approach Simba taking a wider entry. Hopefully the slipstream should probably be enough here. Maybe not. That's quite surprising actually that despite all that, Simba is not able to gain enough speed down the straight. I wonder how that deadlock will be broken. In any case, let's go a little bit further back. Ryu's now having separated from the top three battle in a very lonely fourth place. Furo and Nico with a fairly inventive strategy of doing softs and hards. At the moment working out for them, but it's going to get tricky, I think, towards the end of the race as those hard compound tires also start wearing out, because 15-16 laps on hard tires might not be as simple as it sounds. Nico, yeah, Nico is really struggling. Furo still might be able to make it, but Nico, I fear, might have a really tough time with those tires. Boyan immediately behind Nico. Yeah, as Nico goes wide, Boyan managed to make up a place to P6. Nico staying in front of Gum, who I expect having borne the brunt of the hard compound tire in the opening stint should be on mediums and on newer mediums as well. So this should be a fairly easy pass for the Porsche. Who will have Boyan and perhaps even Sleepy in his sides, and a potential 5th place on offer for the Porsche in this race. A little bit further back, Gabo in P9 in a decent recovery after the incident in the beginning of the race. Apocalypse and Blade Runner fighting for what is currently 10th and 11th. Ayrton Senna a little bit further behind, who has great seats in the house to watch the battle, but unfortunately too far back, I think, to do anything about it on their own. Oh, just as I say that, Blade Runner makes a mistake. Yellow flags are out in this part of the circuit. The two Huracans here, really, it's not been their day. Couldn't capitalize on other people's mistakes in the sprint and in the feature. A couple of mistakes of their own has really left them stranded quite far back. Inorganic in 15th. Unfortunately, I think the strategy not working out here for Inorganic and Gaz. Pretty much the same. The two-stopper not working out. So Simba is leading now as I jump back to the front. This is not too surprising. Let's quickly take a look where this pass happened. It seems like this happened not too long after we left the action here. Simba once again following Abhi once again defending the inside. This time though, Abhi allows. I wonder if Abhi allowed Simba to go through. Whether there was some team orders at play there. Let's take a look. Yeah, there was definitely a dab on the brakes. I think Abhi realizing that Simba on a faster compound tyre has more pace. A surprising concession to make this early in the series. Just the second race, we're playing the team game and defending from Michel, who's got fresher hard tyres, which by this point surely have warmed up already. This will look to be an interesting battle because we've seen Michel making a pass on Simba earlier on in the race, and that was executed on at the end of the straight using the superior grip of the Subarus. Let's see if that can be replicated here. Though it must be said that pass was made with Michel was on the medium compound tyres while Ferrari Panthers on hard. Now that the tyre advantage is not there for Michel, so I wonder if the approach might be different on this occasion. In any case, we'll come back to this battle later. So we join, I think, let's join Sleepy in 5th place, Boyan 6th, Nico in 7th, and Gumb in 8th place. Nico still keeping Gumb behind, but I think it will still be 6 laps after the end of this one. I think Sleepy should be okay to do it on this set and with this fuel remaining. Same for Boyan, I think. Boyan should be fine, but perhaps Nico can also make it to the end. As we see, Michel and Abhi fighting for the lead. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. So Abhi's picked up a 1 second penalty somewhere, and Michel makes a rather opportunistic dive down the inside, contact in the tunnel, and Michel comes out on top of that exchange. I wonder if that would warrant being reported to the stewards as a push to pass, as have a lot of other incidents been in this race. So Michel taking second place of Abhi. And now probably will look to try and chase after Simba, but Simba really on fire at the moment. I think almost a full 2 seconds a lap faster than Michel in the Subaru behind. Even though it's on one compound, softer tires, but when the orders were when the tires were on sort of the other foot, when the boot was on the other foot rather, Simba was able to keep up with the medium compound runners, and now he's reaping the benefits of that, it must be said. Abhi says us fighting got Michel closer, and yeah, I think playing the team game would have been more beneficial to both of you, but yeah. Even still, it's still a decent result. I think first and third, more than decent. I think it's a pretty amazing result. In fact, Michel playing spoilsport to what would have otherwise been Ferrari domination. First and second in the sprint race, first and third in the feature. Michel sort of playing spoilsport in that. Rius, his teammate, is in fourth place. Very, considering all that is happening in this race, it's been quite a lonely race for Rius since the pit stops. Boyan in fifth has managed to pick up a little bit of a gap to Nico, who is in sixth place. Gavo has made up a couple of places into seventh. Sleepy has lost a few positions from dropping from fifth to eighth, and Gum, I think the big sort of loss for Gum, who was on better tires but couldn't make advantage, and couldn't take advantage of that. IJF in 10th place, which would be quite a decent recovery after at one stage the two Lamborghinis were sort of staring at each other in 13th, 14th, 15th places, there or thereabouts. Blade Runner, after what was a fantastic sprint race in the top three, just not working out in the feature this time. Apocalypse in 12th had to stop again. By the looks of it, the hard compound tire not making it to the end. Ayrton Jenna, I think, also has made a stop on fresh softs now. Danos, who was at one point in a really good position, but a spin going into the straight cost quite a bit. Inorganic in 15th. Gaz rounding out the top, the grid as it stands. Simba, yeah, wow, look at that. That's 3 laps in the 52s, 52.6, 52.8, 52.8. That pace is almost unmatched. That's almost 3 seconds a lap faster now on Michel, who is no slouch, mind you. Abhi, who is trying to catch Michel for second, but I think that one will be a little bit tough considering there's only 3.5 laps left. Reeves in fourth. Let's stick with this battle. Oh, well, there was a battle here somewhere. It looks like it has dissipated with Gabo having passed Nico for 6th. So Gabo, who was finished well in the sprint in 4th place, now 6th place in the feature race after the spin, which put Gabo out quite far back. I think it was 15th at one stage. So 6th place from there, pretty decent result. The two sort of really different strategy runners, 7th and 8th. It's a, well, if Nico can make it to the end, which, yeah, Nico's stopping right there. Just as I say that, the fuel's not enough. The tires didn't look like they were going to last. Furo, on the other hand, has done a pretty good job of keeping those things in check. It looks like Fudo will be able to finish the lap on this set of tires. So that'll be a free position, 7th for Fudo, and probably also a free position for Gum, who will. One point Gum was eyeing P5, but I think they will take P8 after a few bumps here and there. You can see the rather disappointing lap 17, costing 14 seconds. I think that's where the race was. The race for 5th place was lost, I think, is the best way of putting that one. Going further back, Blade Runner in 11th, Apocalypse was in 10th, Nico emerging from the pits in 9th place on medium tires, as IJF and Ayrton Jenna battling it out for 12th. Ayrton Jenna has a penalty. Ooh, a little bit of contact there by the looks of it. Oh, IJF didn't like the bump they received there, and Ayrton Jenna very sportingly not taking the position. But yeah, Ayrton Jenna making the move at the next corner as IJF finds himself in 13th, and yeah, the Lamborghini is looking promising at one point, a little bit promising for IJF, but once again they find themselves in not a great position. 13th and 14th for the two emergency Huracans, 15th for Inorganic, 16th for Gaz, as Simba really flying here. The championship leader at the end of the last round. Ooh, a little bit of a slip there, but still going strong. Yeah, that gap has just opened up 10-11 seconds. Michel's lap times have fallen into the 54s, but this has been quite an amazing race from Simba, whose pace in the hards was enough to match his competitors on mediums, and then when the tires were switched, Simba blazing out towards what would be a second feature race win. Abhi in 3rd place as long as no issues occur, and it looks like at the moment that should be fine. The tires looking okay, the fuel looking okay, with 1 lap to go. Rio's in 4th. Looks like it really has spread out after all of that chaos. Gabo perhaps will try, or maybe not try a move for 5th. While Fudo in 7th place. Now it's sort of really settled down after all the chaos of the strategies and the different people trying different things. One last check here. Apocalypse with a half-second penalty, and Blade Runner with a chance to salvage a 10th place perhaps if they can get close enough to Apocalypse. Personal best lap so far on the old worn-out hard tires for Blade Runner late in the race. Oh, and as I say that, sorry about that, Blade Runner. Looks like 10th place will be out of reach for this one, for this race, even despite Apocalypse's penalty. So let's then go back towards the front of the field. As Simba is rounding out the final few corners, yeah, this has been a masterclass, a real masterclass from Simba. Starting in the harder compound tires, letting it take the brunt of the tire wear in the opening stint with the full fuel, and then getting some clean air and then pumping in really, really quick lap times. It's been a fantastic drive from Simba, who will claim his second feature race win of the season, and that makes it 4 wins out of 4 for Ferrari. Yeah, it's been really, really impressive from the Ferrari lads, and so far Michel completing a fantastic race as well of his own. Started P16, lest we forget. Michel's really had to come back through the traffic after the issues in the opening race. Abhi in third place with another great drive, this time bringing home the podium for Ferrari. Ryu's the second Subaru in fourth after a fairly lonely race. Gabo managed to make the pass on Boyan for fifth, so fifth for the Renault, sixth for Boyan, and Furon a fairly alternate strategy with a fairly monstrous 16-lap stint on the hard tyres, coming home in seventh. Gumb in eighth as Nico, who tried that alternate strategy but it didn't work, finishing a couple of positions further down in ninth. Apocalypse in 10th, and Ayrton Jenna, who I think also tried some sort of an alternate strategy, the two-stop, if I'm not mistaken, mediums, then hards and softs, completes the race in 11th place with a fastest lap of 55.8 on the soft. IJF in the ambulance Huracan finishing in 12th, and Blade Runner rather crawling towards the line, P13. Danos in 14th, Inorganic and Gaz having finished the lap down in 15th and 16th place. So yeah, that rounds out what has been a really impressive outing for the two Ferraris. The two Subarus also second and fourth, making sure that they're not just running away with it completely. So Michel making a dent in the mark of the Ferraris then in the end. Yes, so after all that, let me catch my breath for a moment. That was non-stop action until about 10 minutes before the end of the feature race. There was so much action up and down the field. So with that, 3 fastest laps and a pole for our championship leader Simba on 78 points, and his teammate in second with 58 points. The two Ferraris really a class apart, with a 39-point lead just 2 rounds into the championship. The two Subarus in third and fourth, Michel with 3 podiums and an unfortunate DNF in the sprint race, just 3 points behind Abhi for second in the championship, and Ryu's 3 sixth places and a 4th place finish in the feature race tonight to finish 4th in the championship at the moment. So yeah, the Ferrari boys have had 2 fantastic races. Wondering if how they will fare at the next race at Interlagos. Whether anyone can challenge them. Perhaps the Subaru guys, the two Huracans who looked good in qualifying in Spain, but just fell apart since then. Yeah, it's been wild. This race, it's been wild. So much action up and down the field. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, Um, until the next race in Brazil, bye bye.